So as she said, my name is Mickey. I'm 20 years old, and I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That is my main condition that kind of causes everything else. So I have gastroparesis and POTS, which means I'm fed via a GJ tube, and I also have a PICC line. So I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about my journey and sharing how I kind of adapted and grew throughout that whole process. So I used to be a very active kid. I was never the healthiest, but enough that I could, live my life pretty normally. I loved sports and things that were active. I was a figure skater, and that was like one of my biggest loves, was being out on the ice and jumping and twirling. And then I was also a competitive dancer in show choir for many, many years. And that was definitely my main love of my life. Everything revolved around that. My friends, my whole schedule revolved around dance. And so in my early teen years, I started to develop some health issues with my joints and my stomach. And as that kind of went on, dancing and figure skating became a lot harder for me. And, as a young teenager, like those things kind of feel like your entire world. And so, I fought for it, and I'm like, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But eventually I got diagnosed with EDS, and my stomach started to get really sick, and I had to make the decision to stop dancing and stop figure skating, which at the time felt like my entire world was lost. My identity was really wrapped up in dancing and figure. It was who I was. And so at that point in my life, I felt really, really lost and just didn't know who I was. So after I stopped dancing and figure skating is when my stomach stuff really started to get bad. I noticed when I was eating, I started to get really bloated, and I would actually throw up if I had a full meal. So I was like, okay, that's not really normal. So we went to the doctors and everything, and I was later diagnosed with gastroparesis. So I was like, all right, I can do this. Like, it's fine. I'll follow the gastroparesis diet. Like, they put me on some medications. And over the course of like a year, I tried different drinks. I tried different low fat, low fiber diets. I tried really everything that I could to get my stomach working and to be able to sustain myself. But nothing really worked. And I got really, really sick. So by the time about a year had passed from my diagnosis, I was so underweight. I was malnourished. I was, stick thin. I had zero energy. And I truly felt like I was dying. Like I felt like all of the life that was in me before, like I used to dance, and suddenly here I was stuck in bed every day. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what is happening with my life? And I became really kind of depressed and sad. So my team came together and decided, okay, it's time to place the feeding tube. And I was actually told, like, if somebody doesn't do this soon, like you probably won't live a whole lot longer. And so as a 17-year-old being like, oh my goodness, like I might not live to see my 18th birthday. That was obviously like world changing, like life changing. And so I was so relieved when they finally decided to place a feeding tube. But also, there's that emotional part of like, oh, okay, I have to get this medical device. Like I'm going to have a tube in my nose. And just, as these medical devices were adding on, I was like, just all sorts of confused. And so I got a feeding tube, and the first little bit was really, really rocky. But about 2 weeks later was when I really started to feel life come back into my body. It was an experience that I've never had before. My color came back to my face, and I could sit up and feel like, okay, I'm so sorry, hold on. Somebody's calling me here. So sorry about that. You know, I felt life come back into my body, and that was the moment where things really changed for me. I felt like, okay, you know, this is my second chance. I'm gonna make it, and what am I gonna do with my life? And so, you know, through all of those really trying times, you know, everybody's always telling you like, you're so strong, you're so brave, you can do this. And in the moment you're like, well, I don't feel strong, like I don't have a choice, like I have to do this. It's not an option, no matter, even if sometimes you feel like giving up. But that's when I finally made that decision, like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And so I decided that I was going to use everything that I'd gone through to help others. And it was like a switch flipped in my brain, like, actually, I get to make that choice, like whether or not I'm like, that strength is something that you get to choose. Because I mean, it's true, like you don't really have a choice when you're going through these medical things, whether or not you get to do them. Like for me, if I didn't do it, you know, I wouldn't be here. So it wasn't a choice, but your attitude is something that you can control. And since then, I've gone on to share my story on YouTube and on social media, and I've connected with so many other people around the world, and it's been one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I'm happier now than I was even when I was dancing, because for me, the joy and the strength in my life doesn't come from dancing. It doesn't come from other people. It's a choice that I made that's inside of me, and nobody can take that away. My health can't take that away. It's you know, it's not always easy, but you know, every day you wake up and you decide, okay, I can do this. And it kind of changed my whole perspective. Not to say that, you know, things aren't hard, but it was, it's been probably the most life-changing experience for me. And it helps me going forward, you know, to be able to continue to go through these things. And I think my biggest passion that I found through all of this is really helping others. I'm currently in nursing school, tentatively. I'm contemplating changing majors, but to something in the health field, because after everything that I've gone through, seeing other people be inspired by my story, or if I can help one person through what I've gone through, it makes all of it worth it. And so my advice to you guys is, you know, think about your attitude, and it's joy and strength is something that you get to choose, you get to decide, and nobody can take that away from you, not even your health. So yeah, that's just kind of a little thing from me.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks, Hannah. That was wonderful. Appreciate your sharing that. I don't know if it's still on the table, but I heard your mom might join you for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, that's you, Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Well, our next speaker is Hannah Jordan. Thanks very much, Mickey. I hope you'll stick around for the questions and answers. We're already getting some questions.
I will.
Welcome, Hannah.
Hi, guys. How are y'all doing today? I just want to say thank you guys for inviting me on here to speak. Again, it's like really such a privilege to be able to share my story and spread, you know, some joy and, you know, the theme that, you know, Cape Farms has and definitely been my whole life motto is, you know, living your best life. And so my name is Hannah Jordan, and I'm a competitive cyclist, and I am a world champion of 2019 for the World US Hill Climb, as well as a national champion. And I'll let my mom, we're kind of tag teaming this today, to help speak. And she's going to share, you know, my first half from, you know, being a caregiver. But yeah, take it away.
Hi, guys. My name is Alicia Jordan, and I'm Hannah's mom. I wanted to share a little bit about her story from a caregiver's perspective, and just to give a little background. Hannah was born small for gestational age, and we noticed right away that some things weren't right with her. And when she was 2, she started having feeding issues right from the gate, out of the gate. And when she was 2, she was diagnosed with a growth disorder. We knew that we had some really serious issues going on with her hypoglycemia. And so we were trying to navigate that situation. And we were going through all of that. And so anyway, one of the things that we did was that we ended up just, trying to find help. And I want to encourage you as caregivers just to try and find people that are in your corner right off the very bat. And like Oley Foundation, we also had the Magic Foundation that helped us with growth disorders. And we also Ketotic Hypoglycemia International, and also just friends on the internet that were going through the same thing. And but just find those helpers in life and gravitate towards those people. And so it has been an amazing ride. She had 27 hospitalizations in 2 years at her worst, and she was sleeping 20 hours a day. She was on 32 doses of medication a day. At one point, she had multi-system organ issues, and her prognosis not only looked really bleak, but it was just downright scary. I'm not gonna lie, it was really frightening, and it didn't look like we were gonna come out for on the other side. But as parents, we have a mandate on our lives to just push through hard things, and we did. We teamed up with the smartest people we could find in our quarter, and that always gives you hope when you find people that are experts in their field, and people that are masters and love what they do. So that's what we did. And I'm going to let Hannah share her story from that point on. So take it away, Hannah.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And so as she said, my heart was enlarged, my gut was shutting down, my lungs collapsing. I was in and out of the hospital. In 2 years, I was in the hospital 27 times. I had a Chiari and oops, it's glitching out. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I had a Chiari, and so I got a Make-A-Wish trip when I was 9 years old. And when I was about 8 or 9, I realized that, I could either sit here and I could die, and, nobody judged me, nobody blamed me. Nobody believed in me that I could, continue to make it on besides my parents. And so I was like, I can either sit here and I can cry about it, or I can go out there and I can change the world. And so that's what I wanted to do. And so I had no clue what that looked like. I was sitting in the car with my dad that night. And so as years continued on, I wasn't really doing much. And then the magical age when I turned 13 and a half, I've never ridden a bike before because I was so sick, but I picked up my bike and it all took off from there. And the first 10 days of learning to ride a bike, I did 210 miles. And then the next 2 months, I did my first metric century, which is 62 miles, correct? Mm-hmm. And then the day after, I did my first race, which was of course the state championship for Oklahoma with 27 kids, my first race ever, which was a crit, which is like NASCAR for cycling. And I took second out of 27 kids. Going ahead in the next, 7 months, I did my first real century, which is 101 miles. And I basically did it solo, and I did it 5 hours and 18 minutes. And the next month after that, I did this thing called Race the Rails, and I beat a train, which is only 20% of the men beat at the time. And I was the youngest rider to ever do it. I just turned 14 at the time. And so that made me the youngest rider to ever do it. And so in the course of the next 7 years, I did 150 plus races, 12 state championships, 1 national, and 1 world in 2019. And so it's been really cool to, be able to do this. And of course, there's been struggles along the way, like anything. you know, not being able to keep my blood sugar up, you know, having my teeth buzzed, my lips, my jaws, you know, basically almost passing out. Of course, you know, my blood sugars used to range as low as 9 and over 600 when I was younger. And so we had to figure out like a good source of nutrition. And I was on dextrose at 50 mile an hour. And for those that are younger in the audience, that's like drinking a medical Mountain Dew every second of the day. And so I couldn't maintain nutrition. And so we needed to switch, and we found Kate Farms. And literally in the first 3 days of trying it, I felt the best I've ever had in my life, because here in the Midwest, you know, our sports are Netflix and with a side of McDonald's. And so if no one else cared about nutrition and I was getting medical Mountain Dew, why should I care? You know, no one else cares. So why do I? And so it really helped me be able to live my best life. And so actually right now, my mom's not the most thrilled about it, because she, you know, tried to protect my melon for so long. But I'm actually doing MMA right now, and I'm trying to train for a world title belt in that. COVID kind of switched up directions, and I'm of course doing all that stuff, and I'll probably be doing something else in the next 5 years. But, you know, we gotta go out and live our best life, and, you know, grab life by the horns and do everything that we can in life. You know, living your best life means, you know, not being afraid to take a risk even when the odds aren't in your favor. And so actually one of the things that we're excited to announce is that we are working on a medical device to help, you know, patients, caregivers, and doctors be able to live their best life through this device for their patients. So living my dream doesn't seem so far out of reach that, you know, if you want to go to a pool, you can go to a pool. If you want to go ride a bike fast, you can ride a bike fast. And so hopefully we're hoping to unveil that within the next couple of years, or two to three. But yeah, we're
Follow her on Facebook and Instagram,
yeah,
and just put at Hannah Jordan Cyclist. That's the way to follow her.
Yeah, but we're so excited. We of course are, you know, flying by the seat of our tail always. And I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It's been an honor, and thank you guys for everyone that showed up today. So yeah, thank you.
And just to encourage everyone, just never put your dreams or your goals in a box.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes life is about figuring out different ways to do things.
Mhm.
And in order to do that, you really have to put yourself out there. And the thing is you can't live in a bubble. Like, so much of our lives
is throwing pasta at a wall and hoping one of them sticks. So, you know, it's a lot of trial and error, and that's kind of the exciting part about life. It may, you know, kick you down sometimes, but, you know, that's the fun thing, is that you get to try again. You get to try 5,000 different ways to do something or do something else. So yeah.
And so much of her dreams and everything, we figured out that we could do things a different way. And it may not be orthodox. Sometimes it was a little outside of even what people thought was possible, but
thought we were crazy.
Yeah,
to be
they
honest.
thought we were crazy, and we just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And we realized that in our bravery, that things were connecting, and that there was support, and that people, you know,
it's a fine line between crazy and brave, and you just got to take life and just go live it to your fullest, and whatever you can do that day, do it. And, you know, even if you're not 100%, live today as your best day right now. Don't wait for that moment. So yeah, thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks. And we appreciate Oley for all you do for others and your commitment. You're making a difference every single day. You may not always see the outcome of, you know, the seeds that you've sown, but I guarantee you they are growing great big. And because of you, people get to live their best lives as well.
Yes. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.